The title of this portion of the memoir is Teton Sunrise Chase. It is ironic that I decided to pick this day to write about this, as I took these photos as a detour on my way back to Oregon to start a job in 2018. The day I wrote this, I was told I will not have a job in a month. Luckily, my work changed its mind a month later, but alas, the story on the Teton Sunrise Chase will commence. My now ex was not doing well being in Kansas City with the fallout of his family. I felt like the universe was telling me I was not to remain in Kansas City either. I was working a donut delivery job, very hard work for little pay, when I got a job offer in Portland, tangentially related to what I went to graduate school for, planning. The journey to Portland was the bright spot before an even more toxic time in my life began, and didn't think it could actually get worse. Boy, was I wrong. I got the call for a job offer in Portland, working for the city, and I had 3 weeks to get there. I decided that since I was taking the car to Portland that my ex and I owned, and hearing my mom talk about how awesome Jackson Hole is when she went in the 1970s, I decided to take one extra day to get to Oregon by spending the night in Jackson Hole so I could do a sunrise chase to catch sunrise light hitting the Tetons. The drive in Wyoming was daunting, mainly because the bike rack did not fit on this car as well as my ex's car. As a result, the rack and bike on the back kept trying to fly off. This car, which usually got 37 miles per gallon on the highway, was only getting 8 per gallon because of the air resistance and wind. By some miracle, I got to Jackson Hole before sunset. The hotel was a steal because it was only $56 a night and a nice room. October is the only time of year that you can get into Tetons National Park for free. I was in luck. The people in Jackson Hole were so nice, but it was probably because all the California tourists were gone. They knew I was not the usual tourist. I made sure I tipped well at the 2 places I ate, a brew pub that had an elk boar ragu, and a Thai place with the freshest spring rolls I ever had. I knew that none of them could afford to live in Jackson Hole and had long commutes just for this job. They seemed appreciative. I was glad everything closed by 10 because I needed to get a good night's sleep. I had a sunrise hitting the Tetons to get to. Just like any of my adventures, things didn't go to plan. My goal was to be to Jenny Lake at sunrise to get the lake and sunrise rays on Grand Teton. The alarm didn't go off, and I ended up with a nasty migraine. I think with all the driving and stress from the move, one beer with a food ingredient I was intolerant to was enough to cause a migraine. I had a make-it-work moment on my hand. I was about 5 minutes late for the sunrise. However, the windshield was cleaned the night before, so I took one shot through my front windshield. The color on the mountain was a fiery red-orange. The second image was when the road curved, so I got out the side of the car. Then the clouds went over the sun, which reduced the colors. Even with the delay, I still got my sunrise shots, despite not the way I imagined. It might have been better than if at Jenny Lake, because I'm not sure the rays would have been in the right spot to reflect off the water. I allowed myself to take this moment in versus rushing to Jenny Lake, which was good because GPS had me take 2 wrong turns to get to the parking for Jenny Lake. I get out of the car to walk to the lake, and the final image you'll see with these 1,000 words was the view of Jenny Lake with Grand Teton. The air smelt very clean. It was very chilly and windy. You could hear the waves of wind before they hit as if the sound was bouncing off the mountain. It was invigorating. I felt a complete peace in this spot. With my eyes, you could see the snowflakes in the air on the higher portions of Grand Teton, which you can't really tell in this photo. Then it evaporated into a misty rain as it crossed the lake. It was the oddest sensation. It was like snow melting and evaporating, and was 95% evaporated as it touched my skin. It was slight enough that one would ask themselves if it was misting or not. Hindsight being 2020, I understood why I felt so much peace and connection here, and when I stopped in Bend the following night. According to my human design, the environment I should be in is mountains. All my life, I lived in valleys and didn't feel that great. I had one toxic job near Mount Hood, which steered me away from mountains for a bit. I think the mountains were telling me that I've been thinking too small and playing it way too safe with government jobs. I've had health issues going on chronically, which I'm learning is jobs in society are trying to force me to live as a generator when I'm a splenic projector, not designed for constant work. The three things that don't wear me out is photography, storm chasing, and sojourning to mountains, though hiking is more difficult for me these days. The mountains are telling me to dream and go for them versus my version of status quo.